I recommend after people come back from breakout rooms that you set aside time for debrief. Now, by default, most facilitators do a self nomination where people are encouraged to raise their hand if they have something to say, which leads either to people who are comfortable speaking, raising their hand right away, or an awkward silence while we're waiting for someone to be brave enough to do so. I'd prefer to actually do a nomination in chat where we're encouraging folks. If you heard someone share something awesome in the breakout rooms, please nominate them by writing their name in chat, and we'll encourage them to unmute and share briefly what they'd said. This way, you're going to get different voices, different people, people who are maybe newer to the organization, or maybe you don't feel like they have the power to raise their hand. Now, another way to do this is to invite people who took really good notes to raise their hand and share a couple of their key takeaways. Now, this could be done without even mentioning in advance that you want people to take notes, because some people will pretty automatically do that. And that would, again, have different people raising their hand than if you did self-nomination. And the last way I like to do this is to invite people to write their answer to the prompt into chat, but to not hit enter until I tell them to. And this gives a little bit of a pause of about 30 to 45 seconds while people type their answer, but they're not having to also read everyone else's response. And then when I tell them to, they hit enter. And I call this the waterfall debrief because basically the answers come streaming in. And then you can call on people based on what they said in chat and invite them to unmute, or you can just invite people to write to each other in chat based on what people had written. So these are 4 different ways you can debrief. You don't have to do default having people nominate themselves. And it's a great way to get engagement after a breakout room.